Hey, everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, November the 7th. There's a lot of planetary activity triggering a lot of events because we're going to be having a full moon lunar eclipse. But let's start with Monday on the 7th. The moon, which sets the public tone, is in stabilizing Taurus. But Venus, the planet of relationships, of creativity, is in a challenging aspect to worrisome, controlling Saturn. This could be a day of worrying about your relationships or worrying about money. The positive of this would be taking responsibility and doing any necessary work with your finances and budgeting or with your partner. On Tuesday, November the 8th, will be a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus. It is also election day in the United States with the midterm elections. And so one of the interesting things that proves the point here with the lunar eclipse on election day, lunar eclipses, solar eclipses, it's a darkening of the light. So there's a lot of activity going on, no kidding, in the United States with election day, but it takes a couple of months to fully manifest what was being triggered on November the 8th. Well, the obvious is there's going a lot of people will lose their jobs. They'll be gaining new positions in government, but they don't start work until January, or they don't leave their job until January. So that is a perfect illustration of an eclipse. Now, this lunar eclipse is really intense because the moon is that emotional response is going to be exactly aligning with rebellious, surprising Uranus. So this lunar eclipse that could be taking a couple of months to fully manifest is going to be triggering a lot of surprise. Now, that sun and moon is also forming a T-square to Saturn. T-square just means that Saturn is the midpoint between the sun and the moon. So all that rebellious, unpredictable energies of that full moon with Uranus gets channeled through Saturn. Saturn, interestingly enough, is the planet that represents government. And so it also represents economics and big business. So there might be a lot of unstable energy continuing with the world economic markets. Certainly, this is going to trigger a lot of stress and change with this government in the United States. But this full moon is not for the United States. It's for the entire planet. And so there could be more crisis going on in England with their change in prime minister, with what's going on in the Ukraine war. Now, Wednesday, the 9th, the moon is now leaving Taurus and going into Gemini around 5:30 a.m. Pacific time. When the public tone is in Taurus, it's much more steady and calming. Goes into Gemini for a couple of days, once a month. And Gemini wants to talk and connect and correspond, a lot of busy mental activity. The first half of the day, till around noonish Pacific time, the sun, still connected with that full moon, is going to be opposite Uranus. So there's still going to be unexpected, sudden surprises, maybe some real shock. On Thursday, communication, decision-making, Mercury, the first half of the day where it's strongest, Pacific time, will be in a challenging aspect to pragmatic Saturn. Mercury to Saturn, you could be making some really important business decisions or worried about it. The last half of the day, and then the Sun is making a stressful angle to Saturn. So Thursday can be a really important day for business, but also being really worried about the outcome. So it's really best to do your due diligence, to go slow. Also, Venus, pleasure-seeking social Venus, will actually be in harmony with dreamy romantic Neptune. That Venus-Neptune can inspire creative projects. It can awaken this desire for more intimacy, more romance in a relationship. But the Mercury and the Sun, difficult with Saturn, that could mean when you really want the relationship to work out, but you got to really focus and work hard. Or when it comes to creative projects, again, that all that Saturn is bringing form and structure. I told you this week is very event-oriented. On Friday, the moon, as it continues in Gemini, around 5, 6, 7 a.m. Pacific time, the moon will cross over warrior Mars. Now, the moon Mars on the positive can stimulate a lot of ambition and drive, taking chances. But often, with that moon being very emotional with Mars, there could be a lot of impulsiveness and anxiousness and irritability. So if you see the more difficult side of the moon Mars, the best thing to do is take a walk, meditate, in other words, don't engage. But the moon will leave Gemini. That can have you all over the place with trying to analyze and figure out what is going on emotionally. And around 4:23 p.m. Pacific time, the moon enters Cancer once a month for a couple of days. Cancer is ruled by the moon. So when the moon goes into Cancer, it's at home. It's really comfortable. But Cancer wants to retreat. When the moon's in Cancer, we want to stay more at home, stay more with family, more focus on domestic matters. This is all Cancer. On Saturday, the moon continues in Cancer, this very more nurturing, family-oriented, caring energy overall. But pleasure-seeking Venus will be in harmony with passionate Pluto. And Mercury, communication Mercury, will be in harmony with empathetic, intuitive, creative Neptune. So this is a really powerful, positive day for expressing yourself creatively. Romantically, you could fall in love. Or if you're with a partner, you could go out on a Saturday evening and go to the movies, go to the dinner, go to theater, and just be swept away by the magic and the fantasy of all that beautiful energies. On Sunday, the moon continues in Cancer, but it's going to be exactly in harmony with the Sun in Scorpio. They're both water signs, and when the moon is in harmony with the Sun, overall, all is going well within the world. Now, that's just more individually. You have to look at the other planets, see what else is going on, but things seem to fall more into place. And Venus, pleasure-seeking Venus, that could have been giving a romantic Saturday evening, is still continuing strong into the first half of Sunday. So the love, the creativity continues. So I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.